Welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mr. Craven. All right, I have a lot, and I mean a lot of build updates to do with the upcoming Summerset chapter. So I'm pumping these out, these updates or changes out accordingly. And today I'm going to give you guys the updated version of the generator for Summerset. Now, this is a Sorcerer tank build. Sorcerer tanks got a lot of TLC with the upcoming Summerset chapter, and I will go over it accordingly, as well as options and other things to take into consideration. Now, here's my disclaimer. This build is ideally set up for bet DLCs. You can run this in a trial. I have ran a similar Sorc build in a trial as either an off tank or so on and so forth. But if you're going to run this build in a trial, make sure the other tank has your Eben. So that's my disclaimer. Only disclaimer I have for you guys. So the other tank would wear Eben. Yo, David, morning, brother. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's take a look at the character sheet. Now, once again, a lot of things have changed with Summerset, especially with two-handed weapons and the dual slot. So this is going to be a sword and board frost staff build. Okay, so frost staff's really looking good. I really think it's really going to come into play, especially when it comes to block and resource management for a lot of tank builds. Why? Because the one thing that you dread as a tank is running out of stamina. But what the frost staff allows you to do, let's get into this really quick, is allows you to block with magicka instead. So when I come down here and I take a look at the ancient knowledge, frost staff reduces the cost of blocking by 36% and increases the amount of damage you block. That is also going to cost magicka, right? So it's going to cost you magicka now to block with the frost staff, not stamina. Comes in really, really handy. Yo, Robert, what's up? Hope everything's going good for you. So right here, if you see Trifocus, fully charged heavy attacks, taunt the enemies to attack you for 15 seconds, and grant you a damage shield while a frost staff is equipped. Blocking costs magicka instead of stamina. That's going to be huge given the fact that frost staff takes 2 slots now and you can maintain your bonus. So really, really, really good. I just hope that the devs sometimes incorporate frost tank staffs as weapons, alternative weapons, or ability altering weapons in the future. So I'm hoping. Keep our fingers crossed. All right, so let's go ahead and get back into the character sheet. So on board side, you're going to go ahead and see my max health is 31,408. Sorc tanks run a little bit low on the health. Why? Because every other tank runs mitigation or shield system scales max health, except Sorcerer. Sorcerer shield system scales max magicka. So keep that in mind. That's why you don't want to push too much into health, but you want to take advantage of that health. Why? Just comes in handy. Your tank. So on this side, you'll see max magicka at 19,782, max stamina 22452. Keep that in mind. It's very important. Also, you're going to see my resistance prior to my buffs is 26, right? Very important. I have, it's not bad early in the day, so we'll see how it goes, definitely. So magicka is allocated at 20. Health at 24, stamina at 20. Trying to keep it as even as possible. We are Vampire Stage 1. You want to go ahead and, if you want to utilize Vampire, go for it. You're going to get that extra recovery, plus you'll get the Undeath passive. Comes in handy for tanks. Definitely does. Okay, the Mundus we're going to run with this boon is going to be the Lady. Why? We're not running a resistance set. Sorc tanks are a little low on the physical and spell resistance, so you want to take the Lady with this build. It's going to up your resistance. All right, very, very important. Now, when I switch over to the frost staff, you're going to see one big change here, right? You're going to see that my max magicka now is higher than my stamina. Health remains the same, but very important. Why? When you pick up shards or hit orbs, depending on which side you're on, you're going to recover that resource. So it comes in handy to do it as such, right? Very, very, very important. I really like this, how I'm going to be implementing these changes. So if I need stamina, I hit it on the shield side. If I need magicka, I hit it on the staff side. Really comes in handy. Okay? Really, really good. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the sets. Okay. Not much change with the build, with the generator, we're going to be using Shock's exoskeleton. Now, a lot of people always ask me, why Shock's exoskeleton? All right, why? It makes no friggin' sense. You get abilities that give you the minor heroism. Well, the problem of it is with the Sorc, I want to utilize this or gain ultimate all the time, right? Instead of using an ability or dependent on ability. Because while I'm in combat, I'm generating that ultimate every 1.5 seconds, right? The reason I want to go ahead and utilize that to my best advantage possible is the Power Stone passive, right? I'm reducing the cost of my ultimates by 15%. I want to generate ultimate as fast as possible. So Shock's exoskeleton is a huge generator for me as far as ultimate gain. So I like it. Now you'll see that I have the mace of Shock's exoskeleton infused with crushers, right? So it's not gold. With the gold, I'll hit about 2100. So it's really, you know, with all the changes to stamina, I usually go decisive with the one hand for that extra gain, especially with Shock's exoskeleton, comes in handy. But stamina is really hurting for physical penetration, so infused is the way to kind of go to maximize that output for a tank. Tanks do use it. I'm just getting more, you know, I have to do it. I have to take that more into consideration with these changes. So you'll see that I'm using the Shock's shield. This is divine. Now, typically I would go infused, but I don't need it. I want to keep that divine. Why? To maximize the potential of my Mundus stone. So remember, I'm using a resistance Mundus stone. So on the shield side, I want to maximize that. Now, I am going with the decisive Shock's ice staff with a weakening enchantment. The decisive, with this gold, I get a 40% chance to gain an additional ultimate when I gain ultimate. So keep in mind, Shock's exoskeleton is giving me one ultimate every second. So I'm gaining ultimate. When I'm on the frost staff side, I have a 40% chance to gain additional. So I'm maximizing the ultimate potential and increasing what? My Warhorn uptime. Very, very important. Okay. I'm also going to be using the Shadow Wrens, guys. The reason I'm using this is I'm not using Heroic Slash or the other Slash. So this is going to give me magical recovery. And when I take damage, I have a 15% chance to summon a Shadow Clansphere for 15 seconds. The Clansphere's basic attacks deal 3,956 magic damage and applies the minor maim. All right, so I don't need the ability. This is going to apply minor maim. All right, so that's where my minor maim's coming in. So I have my ulti gain and I have my minor maim set in the build with the sets. Okay, so there's that covered. This one is light, infused, multi-effect enchantment, ideal. Okay, so you want one light, you want one medium to maintain the undaunted passive of 6%. All right, so shoulders medium, head light. Notice the shoulders are divine. That is ideal. Chest, infused, multi-effect enchantment, ideal. Now this is going to be the dragon set. Once again, I want to utilize this set as a Sorc tank. Why? It's going to give me recovery, it's going to give me healing taken, it's going to give me max health, but it reduces the cost of my ultimate abilities by 15%. Keep in mind, I have Power Stone. Add this, that's a 30% reduction to ultimate cost. So when I go ahead and I take a look at my aggressive Warhorn, it's only costing me 183 ultimate. That is very significant. Very, very significant on top of how much ultimate I'm going to be gaining. If you want to use Blood Spawn for additional ultimate gain, you can, but you would change out your Mundus. Just a heads up. All right. So, chest, infused, ideal. We went over the shoulders, stamina. Belt, girdle of dragon, sturdy, max health, ideal. Hands, sturdy, max health, ideal. Greaves of dragon, multi-effect enchantment, infused, ideal. Sabatons of dragon, max health, divine. You'll notice I have 2 divine, 2 sturdy. A lot of people are going to be like, that's not enough sturdy. I'm going to get into that. Okay, so you're going to see that I'm going to use the Shock's necklace with the reduction of bash and block. I'm going to use infused. 1 piece of infused. Why? It's going to give me a lot more towards my block reduction. Then I'm going to put other 2 block reductions here, but one's going to be protective to increase to get closer to the cap. So I'm going to go ahead and use 1 protective, 1 infused, and 1 triune. right? So one triune. They both have the block reduction, but look at that. 306, 203. Okay? 106 more. That's why I don't need those extra sturdies. I can opt with the divine. All right? So it gives me more towards my resistance. All right. So that's the gear. Let's go into the skills. Okay, primary bar is going to be sword and board. Not a lot of changes as far as layout, but ability changes, yes. Okay, pierce armor, no change. Once again, major fracture, major breach, debuff, and taunt. Really good. Elemental weapon. I'm really going to be utilizing this a lot on my tanks. Why? Debuffs, right? When I apply the concuss, that's a boost to my DPS, right? Plus, if I get the chilled element, that goes ahead, reduces the damage. All right. Plus, when you take a look at the Sigic Order skill line, all right, and we come down to Concentrated Barrier, while I have a Sigic Order ability slotted, in our blocking, I gain a damage shield. Okay, so I'm getting an extra damage shield for having an ability slotted, right, while I'm blocking. When I don't block for 10 seconds, it recharges. Really comes in handy. Okay. Silver Leash, this is my pull. A lot is going to change with this. This comes in really handy as a tank. One best thing about the DKs, what? They're chains, right? So every other tank can utilize the Silver Leash. I will be doing the same thing. Dark Deal, this is a ability to use to regain health and stamina. It's going to cost me magicka. I need to be aware of that, but it's a really good way to maintain resources when I'm dropping. Okay, Boundless Storms. If you want to go with Hurricane, you can, but I'm going with the Boundless Storms. Why am I going with this one instead? The Major Expedition. Just the extra speed. That's it. The other one's going to give me Major Ward and Major Resolve, but I just like the extra little bit of speed. Okay, Aggressive Warhorn on the shield side. Keep in mind, I'm going to be using Elemental Weapon on this side, so I want the Aggressive Warhorn on the sword and board side. Staff side. We still need to fight Stamp Sork on Stamp Sork, definitely. We'll get around to it. I'm just so busy. Okay, staff side, Inner Rage. Like this is a ranged taunt, plus it offers a synergy. Really nice. Keep in mind, my Empowering Ward is going to be on my staff side. Once again, this scales max magicka. So I want it on the staff side. Why? Because I get more max magicka on the staff side because I'm using Bound Ages on this side. Now keep in mind, they did change Bound Ages where it's a toggle effect. It only lasts 3 seconds, right? But while slotted, I gain max magicka by 8%. That's what I want for the Empowering Ward. I want to maximize that plus the resource gain. And then I'm also getting my Minor Ward and Minor Resolve on this side. We won't carry over, but it comes in handy on my block. Plus, when I activate it, I increase my block mitigation by 20% for 3 seconds. That is a huge change. I really like it, given the fact that I can activate, switch it over, and I get that block mitigation. Really nice. Okay, so Empowering Ward, why this over Hardening Ward? A lot of people are going to ask. It's a utility, right? So it grants me a shield, and it also offers Minor Intellect to me and my allies by 10%. So I really like that. Big changes with Restraining Prison. I used to use Shattering Prison, but I'm using Restraining Prison this time around. Why? It offers the CC effect, right? So I can CC ats. Really comes in handy with tanks. Tanks need CC effects. Bosses are going to be immune to it. But what I really like about the change here is the Minor Vitality for 2 seconds. Right, that is really, really nice for a tank. That Major Vitality. The Major Vitality, I really love as a tank. I'm going to utilize it. I'm going to slot it, and I'm going to go with it. Now, keep in mind, I'm using Dark Deal on this side. On this side, I'm going to use Spell Symmetry. So I have a way to regain stamina, and on this side, I have a way to regain magicka. So I'm going to sacrifice health, exchange for 3,000 magicka. And then after the exchange is complete, my next magical ability is reduced by 28%. And I have 5 seconds to utilize that. Comes in handy. Scott, what's up? Hope you're doing well, brother. Okay. And then we went over Bound Ages. Okay, now Temporal Guard, I'm going to slot this. I might not use it that much, but I really want to slot it. Why? While it's slotted, I get minor protection. That reduces the damage taken by 8%. Keep in mind, also on staff, I'm using Magicka to block, and I get that nice Sigil Order passive towards the Concentrated Barrier. All right, so those are the skills, how they're laid out. Now, if you wanted to, let's go over some of the options here. If you didn't want to use Shock's Exoskeleton, you don't have to. You can use Eben, but then guess what you're going to go ahead and do? You'll probably use something like Bloodspawn, and then you would need to slot your Slash. If you slot the Slash, you'll have to do it on sword and board side. You can give up the Dark Deal in place of that. All right? And then you can switch it, you know, accordingly if you don't want the recovery abilities. So that's an option. You don't need the recovery abilities. I utilize them. I find them very resourceful. But if you're not going to use Shock's Exoskeleton, you will need to do that. Also keep in mind, as a Sorc tank, you can also utilize the Daedric Summoning, and you can go with the Clan Fear. Okay? Clan Fear is really, really nice. It gives you another heal. So you can, but this has to be double slotted, right? And it's going to go ahead and increase your health due to the passives, right? Increase your health and stamina recovery by 20% while you have a Daedric ability slotted. Okay, now you guys will notice that I didn't put Bound Ages on this side because of the Max Magicka. I could put Empowering Ward over, but once again, it scales Max Magicka. So that's a call that you have to do. If you want to rearrange your Boundless Storms for something like your Empowering Ward, you can. Just keep in mind, Empowering Ward will drop a little bit due to the scaling system. Okay? Just food for thought, and just want to cover that. All right, so let's go over the champion points really quick here. We'll start off in the Apprentice. Okay, we're going to be using Dark Deal. That's going to be a way for us to heal ourselves, right? So we're going to take Blessed up to 6.17. We want Elemental Expert because we're doing a little bit of magic damage at 6.17. Spell Erosion, we have no penetration except our Major Fracture, Major Breach. So we're going to take Spell Erosion up to 4,113. Coming over to the Atronach, I want at least 30 points in so I can get Repost. When I block a melee attack, I have a 15% chance to deal additional physical damage. Really comes in handy. So to utilize that, I'm going to put Physical Weapon Expert at 7.33, Master at Arms at 904. Coming over to the Ritual, I will be using my Boundless Storms, so that's going to scale off Thaumaturge. So I'm going to take that at 1208. Piercing, once again, 42, because we have no mitigation. We want 120 in here for the Last Stand. When we fall below 20% health, we gain Major Heroism. Really, really good for tanks. Mighty is going to be at 909. Coming over to the Steed, 31 points in the Ironclad, 34 points in the Spell Shield. Keep in mind, guys, we're going to raise our resistance in this build. So we got to use Spell Shield towards our advantage. Okay, Hardy is at 707. Elemental Defender, once again, I'm a vampire. I want to offset that fire damage. So I'm going to take Elemental Defender at 301. Thick Skin at 611. Coming over to the Warrior, we do have a shield system. So we're going to take Bastion up to 20. Quick Recovery, we're a tank. We want to increase our heal and receive by 6.17. Heavy Armor Focus is the big boon that we need to do with 3,250. Coming over to the Thief Mundus, Warlords at 10.22, Sprinter 11.53. I do like to reduce the cost of my sprinting, especially when I'm running around in a dungeon. I don't like to run out a lot of stamina, so I utilize that. Tenacity at 707. Keep in mind we get that nice passive and heavy armor that gives us additional bonus when we're weaving towards resources. Remember that Sword and Board will only do stamina on heavy attacks, and Staff will do Magicka on heavy attacks. But Tenacity, we're going to take 707. Arcanus 909. Mooncalf 909. If you want to put a little bit more into stamina, you can, but remember when you block, you don't get recovery. Health recovery is a different issue, though. You will get a health recovery, but as a vampire, you get a negative effect. So we want to offset that just a little bit by 707. Coming over to the Shadow. Shadow Ward, 21.18. I don't need to take it up to 23 because I get a ton of block reduction with the changes to the Sorc tank. So I can afford to take this down a little bit to 21.18 and put tumbling at 904. Okay, and that is how the champion points are allocated. Did you guys and Mystic play last night? I did not. I was busy with builds. So I got a little sidetracked, so I did not get to get on yesterday and actually enjoy myself. I was testing some builds, working on a new Stamplar PvP build, and I'm working on the PTS, trying to get things situated, so I'm really busy. So I do apologize. But that is how the champion points are allocated. This is the update for the generator. Really strong build. It will get you through every vet DLC. It is really also good in trial scenarios if another tank is running a coordinated sets. So depends on what the other tank's wearing, if you're using another tank. So if you're in Vet AA, I wouldn't necessarily run this build in like a Vet AA situation, you know, but you could take this in, Maul with no problems, because the other tank's going to be running maybe Eben, maybe Alkosh, whatever. I mean, if they're running Eben and Alkosh, you don't need Eben and Alkosh. So obviously that allows you to utilize a tank like this. So there you guys have it. All right, so pretty much said and done. This is the generator. I hope you guys like it. I really hope you enjoy it. The Sorc tank is one of my favorites. I will also be doing an update for the broker as well. Now, when it comes to race, I will say this. This is a Nord. Why? Because I already have a Nord tank. But if you want to use Argonian, you can do that. Once again, you can use the spell reductions. That would be good. This isn't really built for Argonian, but if you want to, you can. Orc. You can use Orc, Nord. Imperial's really good as well. So I would suggest any of those four for tanks are really good races. You can use any race, but those four are really strong for, Orc. Ravager is great for PvP. Yeah, Stamplar. I am using Ravager. I am, Scott. That's one of my little secrets. I am using Ravager. I'm also using another set or two. So it's really good. It's really strong. Not really strong at Stamplar play. I'm trying to improve my gameplay, but I love the build. And one of the sets I am using is Ravager. It's really, really good. I really like it. All right, guys. So there you guys have it. Updated version, the generator. If anybody has any questions or comments, please post below. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and everybody for watching once again and always. Thank you and have a nice day.